This activity has 3 parts, and this is the second part. In the first video, we made a piece of patty paper that had a line segment across the bottom, a fold, a dot, a second fold, and where the 2 folds met, we drew another dot. That dot we labeled V. Then I traced just the line segment and the dot, the first dot, from my first piece of patty paper onto a second sheet, and that's the piece we're going to be playing with now. The first thing I'm going to do is label this dot F. Now I'm going to draw another dot. This time it's going to be somewhere along the line, the first line that I drew. It can be anywhere along the line, but each person in the group should put their dot somewhere different from everyone else in the group. I'll put mine here. This dot we're going to label X. So far I have a line and a dot traced from my previous layer. My first dot has a label of F, and then I've drawn a second dot just anywhere along the line that I want, as long as it's in a different place than everyone else in my group, and I've labeled that dot X. The next step is to take the paper and fold it over so that the second dot I drew, the one labeled X, falls on top of the one labeled F. Make sure it's the dots that line up and not the labels. Once you have them carefully lined up, crease your paper there. In the next step, what I want to do is draw a line at right angles to this line. So it's going to be going in this direction. I'm going to start at the point here, the one that I can see through the back of the paper. I'm going to start at the point and I'm going to draw until I get to the folded edge of the paper. But I want that to be at right angles to my original line. To make sure that it's at 90 degrees, I should really use a protractor, but I don't have a protractor here at home with me. So what I'm going to do instead is take something that I know has a 90-degree angle on it and use that 90-degree angle to help me make a right angle on the page. One edge of this sticky note lines up very nicely with the line that I drew. I can just see it through the back. The other edge makes a 90-degree angle with that line. So I can now use that edge as a guide. And I'm going to draw my line segment from the dot to the folded edge of the paper. Once I've done that, and I take the sticky note off, I can see that my new line segment here is at right angles with my first one. Now, before I unfold it this time, I'm going to take the whole thing and flip it over, leave it folded, and flip it over. And you can see the line segment that I just drew, that second one here. I can see that through the back. I'm going to trace that line segment on the other side, just down to the point, not extending it. I'm just tracing over the same amount of line that I had drawn from the other side. Once I've done that, I can uncrease and unfold my patty paper, and what I have is a kind of a forked line segment. I have 2 line segments here that meet at this point here. Let's put another point, another dot there, and that dot lies right on the crease here. And this point we're going to call P. So label that point on your patty paper. I have this funny forked shape, and I have my line segment and my 3 points. And this is all we need to do for this layer. but I want you to think about something before we get started on the next one. What can you tell me about the line segment FP and the line segment PX? What can you say about those two line segments? More importantly, I'd like you to think about how you might convince someone else, how you might prove it, just very informally. Tell me what you think these two line segments mean to each other or how they're related, and then how could you prove that? Hang on to this piece, just like the other one. We'll be putting them together into a portfolio later. So now you have 2 of your 3 layers, although this first one isn't done yet. Come back and watch video 3 to see what to do next.